My name is Olivia. I'm standing in the grand ballroom of the Riverside Hotel, watching my sister Victoria glide down the aisle in a gown that costs more than my yearly rent. 200 guests fill the room, all dressed in their finest, champagne flutes catching the golden lights overhead. The ceremony was beautiful, perfect even. Now we're at the reception, and everything sparkles with an elegance that screams money and status. My parents, Richard and Catherine, sit at the head table beside Victoria and her new husband James. They look radiant, proud, like they've finally achieved everything they ever wanted. I'm seated at table 9 with distant cousins who barely know my name. The DJ announces it's time for the father of the bride's speech. Dad stands, microphone in hand, his face glowing with emotion. My stomach tightens with an inexplicable dread. He clears his throat, and the room falls silent. Catherine and I want to announce something special tonight, he begins, his voice carrying across the ballroom. Then he says it. We only ever had one daughter. The words hang in the air like poison. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Victoria freezes mid-sip of her champagne, her eyes wide with shock. The guests turn, looking around confused, some glancing at me. My mother sits beside Dad, and I catch it, that small, satisfied smirk playing at the corner of her lips. She knew. She planned this. Humiliation burns through my chest like acid. My hands start trembling, and the room suddenly feels too hot, too bright, too crowded. People whisper behind their hands, their eyes darting between me and my parents. I can't breathe. I need to get out. I stand abruptly, my chair scraping loudly against the marble floor. Everyone turns to look at me now, their faces a mixture of pity and curiosity. I don't care anymore. I grab my purse and bolt toward the exit, my heels clicking loudly on the marble in the otherwise silent room. Behind me, I hear murmurs growing louder, but I don't stop. I push through the double doors and stumble into the cool night air outside the hotel. My chest heaves as I gasp for breath. I lean against the cold brick wall, tears streaming down my face. My phone starts buzzing in my purse, incessant and demanding. I pull it out with shaking hands. Text after text floods in. Shocked messages from guests who witnessed what just happened. Aunt Marie, are you okay? Cousin David, what just happened in there? But worse are the notifications from social media. Someone has already posted a video of Dad's announcement. The comments are pouring in. Poor girl in the back, one reads. Family drama at its finest, says another. Did her parents just disown her publicly? Asks a third. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Victoria. Why did you leave? You made things so awkward. Everyone's talking. I stare at the message, disbelief washing over me. Even my sister is blaming me for ruining her perfect wedding moment. Not my parents for what they said, but me for leaving. My stomach drops. I realize with crushing clarity that Victoria has always known where she stood in our family, and she's never once questioned it. I drive home in a daze, tears blurring my vision. Once inside my apartment, I collapse on the couch and memories flood back with brutal clarity. Christmas mornings where Victoria unwrapped a new car at 16 while I got a used laptop. College graduations where Mom only took photos of Victoria, carefully cropping me out of every frame. Art contests I won that were never mentioned at family dinners, while Victoria's mediocre piano recitals were celebrated like Carnegie Hall performances. Every birthday where her gifts were wrapped in expensive paper while mine came in grocery bags. Every achievement of mine that was met with, "That's nice, dear," while Victoria's smallest accomplishments earned elaborate celebrations. I'd always known I was less favored, less loved, less wanted. But I'd told myself it was just in my head, that I was being sensitive. Tonight proved I wasn't imagining anything. I'd been systematically erased my entire life. My phone buzzes again. I almost ignore it, but something makes me look. It's a notification from my bank. The notification is strange, a transfer alert from an account I don't recognize. Curiosity overrides my exhaustion, and I log into my banking app. There's a linked account I've never seen before, one that shows substantial activity. My parents' names are on it. Confused, I dig deeper, accessing old emails and documents I'd stored years ago. In a folder marked Family Documents, I find something that makes my blood run cold. A bank statement from 2 months ago showing a transfer of $300,000 into an account in Victoria's name. My parents had funded her entire life, her car, her apartment, her wedding, everything, while telling me repeatedly they couldn't afford to help me with college tuition. I'd worked 3 jobs to pay my way through school. I'd eaten ramen for years while they paid for Victoria's luxury lifestyle. The betrayal cuts deeper than the public humiliation. This wasn't just favoritism. This was systematic financial abuse. I screenshot everything, my hands shaking with rage and shock. How deep does this go? I spend the next hour searching through more documents, and that's when I notice something else disturbing. My joint bank account with my husband Marcus shows irregular withdrawals. $15,000 missing over the past 6 months. Small amounts here and there, never enough to trigger immediate alarm, but together they add up to something significant. Marcus has been the one person I thought I could trust, the man who promised to love me when my family wouldn't. We've been married for 3 years, and he's always been supportive, or so I thought. I checked the withdrawal timestamps. They coincide with days he said he was working late. My stomach turns. I call him, but it goes straight to voicemail. Marcus, we need to talk. Now, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. He doesn't call back. At midnight, he finally comes home, his gym bag slung over his shoulder. Hey babe, sorry I'm late. Got caught up at the gym. His lie is so casual, so practiced. I realize this betrayal extends far beyond my parents. Where's the $15,000, Marcus? I ask, my voice deadly calm. His face pales. What are you talking about? Our joint account. $15,000 in withdrawals over 6 months. Where is it? He sets down his gym bag slowly. I can explain. Then explain. He runs his hand through his hair, avoiding my eyes. I had some business expenses. Investments that needed capital. I was going to tell you. Business expenses, I repeat flatly. What business? Just some opportunities. Look, I'll put it back, okay? Don't make this a big deal. But it is a big deal. Tonight, I was publicly erased by my parents. Now I'm discovering my husband has been stealing from me. I walk to my desk and pull out a notebook. Get out, I say quietly. What? Get out of my sight. Sleep on the couch. I need space. After he leaves the room, I start documenting everything. Bank statements, screenshots, receipts, text messages. Every piece of evidence of the financial manipulation and betrayal. Knowledge is power, and I'm going to need all the power I can get. The next morning, my doorbell rings at 7 a.m. I haven't slept. When I open it, Victoria stands there, mascara smudged, still in her wedding dress. Can I come in? She asks quietly. I step aside. She enters slowly, taking in my red eyes and the documents scattered across my coffee table. I didn't know, she says, her voice breaking. About what Dad said last night. Mom told me it was going to be a surprise announcement about their anniversary gift, not that. Did you know about the money? I ask, my voice hollow. Her silence is answer enough. Finally, she whispers, they told me it was a trust fund from Grandma. I didn't know they were giving me your share too. My share? Dad said Grandma left money for both of us, but that you'd gotten yours already for college. I believed him. Tears streamed down her face. I'm so sorry. I should have questioned it. I should have asked you directly. For the first time in my life, I see genuine remorse in my sister's eyes. We cry together on my couch, and something shifts between us. That afternoon, Victoria leaves, promising to help however she can. I make a phone call to Sarah Hendricks, a lawyer whose name I found through an online search for family law attorneys. Her office is downtown, modern and intimidating. Sarah is in her 50s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. "Tell me everything," she says, pulling out a legal pad. I do. The public humiliation, the hidden bank accounts, the $300,000, Marcus's theft. She takes notes, her expression growing darker. "This is financial elder abuse in reverse," she says. "And potential fraud. We can freeze the accounts, investigate hidden assets, trace offshore funds if necessary." Offshore funds? People who hide this much money usually hide more. "We'll need to dig deeper." She slides a contract across her desk. "I'll take your case. But I need full access to all documents, and you need to be prepared for this to get ugly." Family cases always do. I sign without hesitation. Legal firepower has entered my life, and I'm ready to fight. "What about Marcus?" I ask. "We'll deal with him too." 2 days later, while Marcus is supposedly at the gym again, I do something I never thought I'd do. I follow him. He drives not to the gym, but to a condo complex across town, one of the newer, expensive developments. My heart pounds as I watch him use a key to enter Unit 304. I sit in my car for an hour before he emerges, alone. After he drives away, I approach the building. The doorman stops me. "Can I help you?" "I'm looking for my husband," I say, improvising. "Marcus Chen. He told me to meet him at Unit 304. The doorman's face shows confusion. 304? That's Ms. Jessica Chen's unit. The name hits me like a punch. Jessica Chen. I pull out my phone and show him a photo of Marcus. "Is this the man who just left?" He nods slowly. "He visits frequently." I assumed he was family. I thank him and return to my car, my hands shaking. Marcus bought a secret condo. Someone named Jessica Chen lives there. The betrayal compounds, layers upon layers. I call Sarah immediately. I need a private investigator. She doesn't ask questions, just texts me a name and number. Tom Rodriguez. An hour later, I'm in Tom's office, a small space above a coffee shop that smells like old books and determination. Tom is younger than I expected, maybe 40, with kind eyes that have seen too much. "Jessica Chen," he says, typing into his computer. "Give me a few days." It takes him less than one. He calls me the next morning. Jessica Chen, 28, works as a marketing consultant. She's been living in that condo for 8 months. Your husband purchased it in cash using funds from a business account that's connected to your joint finances. My world tilts. 8 months? I have photos, timestamps, everything you need. When Tom sends me the evidence, I see them together. Marcus and Jessica entering the condo, leaving together, laughing. The betrayal isn't just financial anymore. It's personal, intimate, and it destroys the last piece of trust one had in anyone. I forward everything to Sarah. "Add adultery and fraud to the case," I text her. That night, I do something bold. I create an anonymous social media account and upload the video from Victoria's wedding. But this time, I add context. Text overlays explaining my parents' lifelong favoritism, the hidden $300,000, the public erasure. "This is what emotional abuse looks like," I write. "This is what happens when parents choose one child over another for 30 years. I post it and go to bed, expecting nothing. I wake up to chaos. The video has gone viral. 10,000 views. 50,000. By noon, it's at 500,000. Comments flood in, thousands of people sharing their own stories of family favoritism and abuse. News outlets pick it up. "Bride's family drama goes viral," reads one headline. "Parents publicly disown daughter at wedding," says another. My parents' phone numbers and social media accounts are flooded with angry messages. Their carefully constructed perfect family image crumbles in real time. Sarah calls. This changes everything. Public opinion is powerful in court. I feel a flicker of something I haven't felt in years. Power. The fallout is immediate and brutal. My mother calls me 17 times in one day. I don't answer. Dad sends emails begging me to take down the video. I delete them without reading past the subject lines. But the real damage happens in their social circle. Aunt Marie calls to tell me what's happening. Your parents' church asked them to step down from the leadership committee, she says. The country club revoked their membership. Catherine's book club uninvited her. People are avoiding them at the grocery store. Victoria texts me, Mom's having a breakdown. Dad won't leave the house. I feel a surge of satisfaction mixed with something more complex. This isn't just revenge. It's accountability. For the first time in my life, they're experiencing consequences for their actions. Their reputation, the thing they valued more than their own daughter, is destroyed. Sarah sends me an update. Your parents' attorney called. They want to negotiate. No negotiation, I text back. We go to court. But first, I have other business to handle. I need to deal with Marcus and Victoria's help. Victoria arrives at my apartment with a briefcase full of documents. Her eyes are red from crying, but her jaw is set with determination. I went through everything at Mom and Dad's house, she says, spreading papers across my dining table. Here are the account numbers, hidden properties, trust details, offshore investments. Everything. I stare at the documents. Properties in 3 states. Accounts in the Cayman Islands. A trust fund worth over $1 million, all in Victoria's name. I didn't know about most of this, she whispers. I swear I didn't. I believe her. For the first time, I see my sister not as my enemy but as another victim of our parents' manipulation. She was the golden child, but they used her too, turned her into a weapon against me without her full knowledge. Thank you, I say, and I mean it. Victoria reaches across the table and squeezes my hand. I'm giving half of everything back to you. It should have been yours from the start. Victoria, you don't have to. Yes, I do. This is the right thing. For the first time in our lives, we're truly sisters. That evening, Marcus comes home early. He sits across from me at the kitchen table, his face serious. We need to talk about the future, he says. He slides a document across the table. It's a post-nuptial agreement. This protects both of us, he says smoothly. You sign this, and we can move past everything that's happened. I read it. The agreement gives Marcus 70% of all marital assets, including my business, my inheritance, everything. My blood turns to ice. You're joking. I'm being practical. With everything going on with your family, we need legal protection. Protection for you, you mean? I pull out my own envelope and slide it across the table. Your turn to read. His face goes pale as he opens it. Inside are photos of him with Jessica, bank statements showing his fraud, evidence of the secret condo. I know everything, Marcus. The money, the woman, all of it. He stands abruptly. You've been spying on me? I've been protecting myself. Sign the divorce papers by Friday, or I file charges for fraud. Your choice. He leaves without another word. The next day, Tom calls with something even more damaging. You need to hear this, he says. He plays me an audio recording. It's Marcus on the phone with my father. She's breaking down, Marcus says. The wedding thing worked perfectly. Once she's completely isolated, she'll sign over everything. My father's voice responds, good. Catherine and I will handle Victoria. You handle our other daughter. Once this is done, we'll split the assets as agreed. I feel like I've been punched in the stomach. The conspiracy wasn't just between Marcus and me, or between my parents and Victoria. Everyone was working together to isolate me, emotionally and financially. The wedding announcement wasn't a spontaneous cruelty. It was calculated, designed to break me down so I'd be vulnerable to Marcus's manipulation. There's more, Tom says. Emails going back 2 years. They've been planning this since before your parents started the offshore accounts. Sarah's voice is grim when I call her. This is criminal conspiracy. We're not just talking divorce and family court anymore. This is fraud on a massive scale. Sarah files emergency motions to freeze all accounts connected to my parents, Marcus, and any jointly held assets. The legal system moves faster than I expected. Within 48 hours, a judge grants temporary injunctions freezing offshore accounts, the trust fund, and Marcus's business accounts pending investigation. My father calls, his voice panicked. You're destroying the family. You destroyed me first, I say calmly. These are just consequences. Marcus tries a different approach. He shows up at my apartment with flowers and tears. I made mistakes. We can work through this. Don't throw away 3 years of marriage. You mean don't throw away your access to my money, I correct. Get out. He refuses to leave, so I call the police. They escort him out with a warning. That night, Sarah texts me, Marcus is trying to move assets before the full freeze kicks in. We need to move faster. The race is on. Can we protect my assets before Marcus and my parents drain everything? The stakes have never been higher, and time is running out. Sarah and I devise a counterattack. While Marcus scrambles to hide assets, I do something he doesn't expect. I buy shares in his startup company, the one he built using stolen money from our joint account. Through a shell corporation Victoria helped me set up, I acquire a 30% stake. When Marcus finds out, he calls me, furious. What are you doing? Business, I say sweetly. I'm now your largest minority shareholder. That means I have access to all financial records, and I can call for audits anytime I want. The power dynamic shifts. I'm not just defending myself anymore. I'm on the offensive. I hire a forensic accountant who discovers Marcus has been inflating expenses and hiding profits. With my newfound leverage, I threaten to expose his fraud to his other investors unless he agrees to a fair divorce settlement. 2 days later, his lawyer calls Sarah. My client is ready to negotiate. I'm no longer the underdog. I'm the one calling the shots, and it feels incredible. To celebrate, I do something bold. Marcus had planned our 3rd anniversary dinner at an exclusive restaurant downtown, a reservation he'd made months ago. I decide to keep it. I show up alone, dressed in a stunning red dress I bought that afternoon. The maitre d' looks confused when I give Marcus's name. Your husband called to cancel. I'm uncanceling it, I say firmly. Table for 1, please. They seat me at the best table in the house, right by the window overlooking the city lights. I order the most expensive wine on the menu and the chef's tasting menu. Halfway through my meal, Marcus appears at the restaurant with Jessica. His face goes white when he sees me. I raise my wine glass in a mock toast, smiling. He tries to approach, but I shake my head, and he retreats. The other diners watch, fascinated. I finish my meal slowly, savoring every bite. When the bill comes, I pay with our joint credit card, one last act of defiance before the divorce finalizes. Walking out, I feel lighter than I have in years. The courtroom is packed 3 weeks later. My parents sit on one side with their lawyer, looking diminished and old. Marcus sits separately with his attorney, avoiding eye contact. Victoria sits beside me, her hand gripping mine. Sarah stands, presenting our evidence methodically. Bank statements showing the $300,000. Emails proving the conspiracy between Marcus and my parents. Photos of the secret condo. Audio recordings of their phone conversations. Tax documents showing hidden offshore accounts. The judge listens intently, his expression growing darker. My parents' lawyer tries to argue that family gifts aren't illegal, but Sarah counters with evidence of fraud and elder financial abuse in reverse. When it's Marcus's turn, his lawyer tries to paint me as vindictive and opportunistic. But Tom takes the stand and presents irrefutable evidence of Marcus's affair and financial fraud. The judge calls for a brief recess. When he returns, his ruling is swift and decisive. I find in favor of the plaintiff on all counts. The offshore accounts will be split equally between the two sisters. Mr. Marcus Chen will pay restitution plus penalties. Criminal charges may be filed separately. Justice, finally, is served. The aftermath is brutal for my parents. The IRS launches an audit of their finances going back 10 years. The offshore accounts are exposed, and they face massive tax penalties. Their social standing, already damaged by the viral video, completely collapses. Former friends refuse to speak to them. The church formally asks them to leave. Even the grocery store where they've shopped for 30 years feels hostile. Dad's business partners distance themselves, worried about being associated with fraud. Mom's charity boards remove her from their rosters. They face consequences not just legally, but socially and professionally. Everything they valued, reputation, status, respect, is gone. Victoria tells me they've put their house up for sale, downsizing to something they can actually afford now that their hidden wealth is being redistributed. Mom asked about you, Victoria says quietly. What did you tell her? That you're doing better without them. It's harsh but true. For the first time in my life, I'm free from their manipulation and control. The weight I've carried for 30 years is finally lifting. 2 months after the court ruling, a letter arrives at my apartment. It's from my parents, handwritten on expensive stationery that now feels like a relic of their former life. Dear daughter, it begins. The word daughter stings after years of being invisible. The letter is long, full of apologies and explanations. They claim they always loved me but didn't know how to show it. They say they were wrong to favor Victoria. They ask for forgiveness. At the bottom, both signatures. Victoria calls that evening. Did you get it? Yes. What are you going to do? I think about it carefully. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean welcoming them back into my life unconditionally. I'm setting boundaries, I tell her. Written correspondence only. No phone calls. No surprise visits. If they want a relationship, it's on my terms. Victoria agrees to split the inheritance equally, insisting despite my protests. The money is transferred into separate accounts. My parents' apology is noted but not fully accepted. I choose boundaries over revenge, and empowerment over bitterness. It's not the ending they probably hoped for, but it's the one they've earned. With my settlement money and the equalized inheritance, I do something I've dreamed about for years. I buy a house. Not a mansion like my parents had, but a cozy craftsman bungalow in a quiet neighborhood with a yard and a porch. It's mine, completely and totally mine. No joint accounts, no family strings attached. Victoria helps me move in, and we spend a weekend painting the walls in colors I actually like. Bright yellows and soft blues, nothing like the sterile beige my parents always insisted on. We laugh while painting, getting more paint on ourselves than the walls. I never apologized for all those years, Victoria says as we take a break. I should have stood up for you. You didn't know, I say. You were a kid too. Still. I'm sorry. We sit on the floor of my empty living room, surrounded by paint cans and drop cloths, and I feel something I never expected. Healing. My sister isn't my enemy. She's becoming my friend. Over the next few months, we establish new traditions, sister lunches, movie nights, honest conversations. 6 months after everything exploded, I start a blog. It begins as a way to process my own trauma, writing about family favoritism, emotional abuse, and the long journey to recovery. I don't expect anyone to read it. Within weeks, it goes viral again. Hundreds of people comment, sharing their own stories of being the forgotten child, the scapegoat, the invisible one. Messages flood my inbox asking for advice, support, resources. I'm overwhelmed but also energized. I connect with therapists who specialize in family trauma and create a resources page. I start a private Facebook group for people recovering from family abuse. It grows to over 5,000 members in 3 months. Suddenly, I'm not just healing myself. I'm helping others heal too. A literary agent reaches out about writing a book. A podcast invites me to share my story. What started as private catharsis becomes public advocacy. I appear on a morning show to discuss family dynamics and toxic favoritism. The exposure is terrifying but also empowering. My voice, silent for so long, now reaches thousands. Can I balance this new public presence with my personal life? I'm determined to try. 1 year after that devastating wedding, I host a dinner party at my house. The guest list would have shocked my parents. Victoria is there with her husband James, who has apologized repeatedly for not speaking up at the wedding. Sarah, my lawyer, brings her wife. Tom, the private investigator, comes with his teenage daughter. My therapist sends her regrets but a beautiful plant for my garden. We eat, laugh, and share stories. Halfway through dinner, my phone buzzes with a text from my mother. I glance at it, then silence my phone without responding. Their messages come occasionally now, attempts at reconciliation that feel more like obligation than genuine remorse. I'm not ready, and I might never be. After everyone leaves, Victoria helps me clean up. You did it, she says. You really did it. We did it, I correct. I couldn't have done this alone. As she drives away, I stand on my porch, looking at my little house with its yellow walls and blooming garden. A car pulls up, and my new neighbor steps out, the one who smiled at me this morning and asked about coffee sometime. I smile back, waving. 1 year ago, I was erased in front of 200 people. Today, I'm more visible, more powerful, and more myself than I've ever been. Betrayal broke me down, but it also forced me to build myself back up, stronger and freer. I walk inside my house, lock the door behind me, and finally feel completely at home. I am free, confident, and unstoppable.